Oite omnes. My name is Stefanie Gigante. I teach at Ridgewood High School in Ridgewood, New Jersey. We're a public high school in a suburb of New York City. In addition to my teaching responsibilities, I'm also a technology innovation specialist in my district. I was one of the founding members of that team, and so I teach teachers in my district how to use technology. I am both a Google certified coach as well as a Pear Deck certified coach. So you, my friends, are in good hands today because I'm going to teach you a little bit about Pear Deck in the time that we have together. Okie dokie. So we have 9 people connected already. Pear Deck is a tool that works both synchronously as well as asynchronously. The way that Pear Deck works in a synchronous fashion is exactly like we're doing now, in which I would give students a link. I would show it from my Zoom or Google Meet screen, and students would join the presentation from wherever they are. Pear Deck is another freemium type of software tool in which if you have the premium version, you can integrate it with your Google Classroom, and then you can invite classes through Google Classroom and keep your rosters sort of aligned in that way. Okay, so Pear Deck also works, as I said, in an asynchronous way, insofar as I can give students a link to what they call a self-paced presentation. So students will complete all the Pear Deck related activities within a given time frame, but the time frame does not have to be live with me. So I'm going to go ahead and press continue, and I'm a teacher, and I'm showing you the teacher mode rather, and if I were in the classroom or in a Google Meet right now, I would take this opportunity now to start looking at everybody's responses together. So on my screen, you can see that when I hover over it on the bottom, I get a bunch of different teacher controls, and what I want to do right now is to show responses. And when I show responses, we can see everybody's responses come in. You used it last year, you loved it, that's great. It makes Google Slides interactive. Nothing, that's okay. Use it to teach grammar lessons. Oh, you taught other teachers about it. Yay, go you. Nothing, attend online workshops. Okay, good, so there's a range. The draw feature is indeed very robust. Okie dokie. So I'm going to move forward, and you're going to see that on your screen, it's also going to move the presentation forward as well. So that's one of the great things about Pear Deck, is that I know that my students are looking at the same exact screen that I want them to look at. And it's great for students who are taking notes in their notebook too, because they're not all like craning their neck to see exactly what's on the projector all at the same time. So those of you who answered accordingly, you're correct. Pear Deck is a presentational tool that has interactive capability. This is actually great news because we are all pretty much accustomed to teaching with some degree of Google Slides or PowerPoint or even like Prezi or something like that as sort of like the background that goes behind what we do in a normal instructional environment. But Pear Deck enables you to give students instruction and watch them apply that information for the first time in front of you. So instead of just giving the students, 3 or 4 different examples of perfect passive participles on their own, and then you give them one other one, you're like, okay, write it in your notebook and then tell me what it translates to. The number of kids that you're going to get who are going to raise their hand with an answer that they feel comfortable giving is very minimal at best. But what you want is you want every single student in your presence to try that perfect participle, because you want to know legitimately if every one of them understands. And so Pear Deck enables you to ask the same exact question of every single student all at the same time, and then watch to see how much they understand, what gaps there are. And then that also enables you as a teacher and as the lead presenter to go back and to reflect on your own instruction at a moment's notice and say, oh, wait a second, there's like a vast misunderstanding here because they're all getting this incorrect. So let me go back, let me give the information in a different way, and hopefully by couching it in a second version, they'll understand it better the second time. As you saw when we were looking over your answers earlier, all of the contributions are anonymous, and this is huge, my friends, because in the 6 to 12 environment especially, no one wants to be wrong. No one wants to raise their hand and be looked at as the kid who was wrong about something, or the kid who's always right and is like a big Latin nerd, right? No one wants to be any of those things. They just want to like have their little existence and just have a relationship just with you. And so Pear Deck enables you to have everybody's contributions in an anonymous format. I will say though, that the anonymous format only goes so far. I, as the teacher and the person who's giving the presentation, I have access to everybody's answers all the time. I'm going to show you something that normally in a regular school environment, I would never, ever, ever bring up on the projector version of the board. But I'm showing you how to use Pear Deck, so I hope that we're all okay with this. So in my teacher dashboard here, I can go back to this slide that we were just looking at earlier, and I can see everybody's responses one by one come in. So I can look at Katie's response, I can look at Margaret's response, and I can see who's participating in the presentation, and I can see it in a live way. I can also see, if I were to scroll all the way to the bottom of this window, I can see who hasn't put their answer in yet. So whether it's synchronously or asynchronously, I can target some of the kids and say, hey, you know what, I have not seen you, put in a couple answers in a few slides. Are you still at your computer? Are you able to understand what we're doing? Do you have any questions? Whatever. Now, in this individualized format, the kids who did put in answers, I can go ahead and log individual feedback for that student that only that student will see. So I'm going to type this message to Margaret. She's going to get it to pop up on her screen, and then I can close this and I can go about my merry way. And if I want to log more feedback on her later, I can certainly do that. And this enables you to make sure that you can have almost like a one-sided conversation with a student during a presentation. As I said, though, I never put this up on the board because I always want students to feel comfortable that I support their anonymity and I want them to participate because I want to foster that idea of comfort in my classroom and that there's no risk in just trying to answer something. So going back to the original presentation here. So things that you can ask students to do to interact with your instruction. You could send students to an external website. If you wanted to connect a story that you were working with a mythology story, but sometimes the kids will just go to Wikipedia for their mythology story, but maybe you want them to get a more robust version of a story from, say, Theoi or something like that. You can use that to sort of curate the external resources that your students are using. You can have them draw on a background of any kind. You could have them look at an existing drawing and label that drawing with vocabulary that you're studying in that specific stage. You could also ask students multiple choice questions. I love Pear Deck's approach to multiple choice questions, and that is that when students select an answer, their answer just kind of hangs out in space, and they don't know until you project the answers on the board whether or not they chose the correct one or the incorrect one. So it gives them an opportunity to stay engaged in your actual presentation without checking out because, oh man, I was wrong, I'm so bad at Latin, or yeah, I was right, this is super easy, let's go, let's go. It gives students an opportunity to stay in it the whole way through. And then finally, Pear Deck has a feature for their premium subscribers that involve draggables. So you can drag icons to various places in your presentation. You're actually going to get to try your first draggable right now. On your screen, you're going to see a draggable thumbs up that is green in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. We're going to talk for a moment about how to build a Pear Deck presentation. So I want you to tell me which you normally use, Google Slides or PowerPoint. While you're making your selection, I'm about to show everybody the answers. I'm going to make a recommendation, though, that when it comes to either multiple choice questions or draggable questions, I actually strongly recommend that you lock the student's screen before you look at the answers, especially something like multiple choice. There's no worse feeling than forgetting to push that button. You look at the results on the screen, 19 out of 20 kids have picked A as their answer. One of them has clicked B, and before you can hit that lock button, that one kid who answered B changes their answer immediately. And it's so frustrating because I really want to know students' gut reactions to material. I want to know their actual answer and not what they think I want them to say. There are a number of times that you'll see that in a multiple choice question that some students, the majority choose an answer, and you think you see other kids who are like, oh, I should have chosen B, and then B is actually not the right answer. So you want students to choose it based on their authentic reaction. So we'll look at your responses now. All right, good. So you seem pretty evenly divided. One quick note about locking screens. If I hold down this icon of locking screens, I have options to time the students before they actually, before their screen locks down and we look at their answers. So 30 seconds, 1 minute, and 3 minutes. Of course, you can make 2 minutes happen if you want to, just by doing 1 minute twice. So I'm actually not, as you know, schools are either in Microsoft Camp or they're in Google Camp. So my school is in a Google Camp, so I'm going to show you the Google slides. But it actually works in a very similar way for PowerPoint as well as for Google Slides. And that is because Pear Deck is what's called an add-on. Add-ons are found in one of these option menus at the top. You go to Add-ons, go to Get Add-ons, and then you'll select the Pear Deck add-on. When I'm ready to use a Pear Deck add-on, I opt into it by just clicking on it from my add-on menu. Because you can start any Pear Deck you want from Google Slides or PowerPoint, this is actually great news for all of you, because what it means is that that bevy of presentations that you have spent your entire career creating, you don't have to reinvent them. This is just your opportunity to augment them and allow your students to interact with the content rather than rely on just, an answer flying in from the right or the correct animation. So here I am in my existing slides presentation, and I can amplify any existing slide with a Pear Deck option over here where it says ask students a question, and it'll automatically add a question to my current slide. If I want them to draw something, I just click draw. It automatically puts in the drawing capability, and within a few seconds, I'm done. Just like that, that becomes a drawing slide. Now, if I made the wrong choice, I just click it, delete, and then I can make it a draggable slide. I'm going to show you quickly the draggable mechanism real fast, because you can have up to 5 draggable icons in each slide. You can change their size, you can change their color, and you can change what the actual icon is. So, thumbs up for a positive adjective that describes the character, and then you can add another and do a thumbs down for a negative adjective for a character, and you can use that to start to differentiate students' understanding and recognition of vocabulary words. I'm going to go ahead and update slide, and in a few seconds, hopefully it'll update. So sometimes you have existing slides that you want to add that interactive capability to, but other times you have a Pear Deck template slide that you can use, and their templates are fully customizable. So I'm going to go to the template library, and I'm going to put one in, and I'm going to show you how customizable it is. So maybe in the middle of a presentation, you're teaching the imperfect tense and how to translate it, and then you can give students a quick false slide, and you say, okay, I'm going to read a verb to you, or I'm going to provide here a translation of a verb for you. Tell me, is this exactly how it gets translated? But as I said, these templates are fully customizable. If you prefer using more spoken Latin, you can easily edit this to be verum versus falsum with no consequences, okay? You can put in an icon of your choice. You can put in a picture of Salvius or Bulimicus or whoever you want to mention. So Pear Deck has organized its templates based on the part of the lesson that you might be using it in, as well as for topical things like critical thinking slides. There are a number of these considering different viewpoints, observations, wondering, etc. And then there are some subject area slides that you can adapt, but there is obviously a world language tab. Someone asked the other day, if you go to Pear Deck's homepage, there is something called the Orchard, which has a number of shared slide presentations. I'm not sure how many Latin-oriented presentations there are, so just kind of keep your expectations a little bit low on that one. So finally, going back to the original slide deck, I just want to show you the 2 activities that I had planned for you before I started talking too much. And in this activity, this is an Elevate specific activity, and all I did was I took a screenshot of the activity, and instead of dragging and dropping an Elevate, I'm going to have the students write in their answers from this Pear Deck slide. You have this option on your screen right now. And then I also have this where, again, I just screen capped a picture from the web book, and I'm just having students, you know, draw their vocabulary connections to the pictures in the text. This is a great tool for virtual learning, because normally in a classroom, I might be able to just use the DocCam and, you know, take a picture of what's in the textbook and put it on the board, and then the students all come up and they label it with vocab. But I can't do that with them right now. So this is the next best thing. So I hope that this has given you enough of a background for Pear Deck. As I said, I'm more than happy to work with you on it moving forward.